the Medical AI Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Medical AI Podcast, a 30-minute thrill ride of big ideas. I'm Dr. Felix Beecher and I discuss with scientists, innovators and philosophers. Will AI doctors eventually replace human doctors? Or are they already doing so? On the one hand, people like the human touch. On the other hand, medical AI systems can deal with massive amounts of research evidence and patient data. They never get tired, they don't have personal biases, and they can give instant results. And also, they are cheap. So where are we at with the development of AI doctors? Well, joining me is somebody absolutely at the cutting edge of this fascinating topic, Robert Sargsyan. He is the CEO of Docus.ai and his company has developed an AI doctor used by 100,000 people around the world. So, Robert, a huge welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Felix. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Okay, so could you introduce yourself to the listeners and explain a little bit about Docus?
Sure. I'm Robert, CEO and co-founder of Docus. As for my expertise, unfortunately, I'm not a save lives doctor, but a PhD kind of doctor. So I hold a PhD in economics. And actually, Docus is my second startup that I'm building with my co-founder, Georg. So our first company was more standard story about two PhD students who started a startup from their dorm room. And it was like online food delivery platform. And without any investments, we scaled it to a few millions in revenue, had an exit, and now we are working on big idea, Docus. So at Docus, we are building an AI health assistant for individuals and AI copilot for doctors, connecting these two sides for pre-visit assessment, during visit support, and post-visit monitoring, and eventually making this communication more effective.
So, Robert, let me just say, by the way, this is off script. Could you, sometimes the bandwidth doesn't sound great. Could you close off all other programs that you don't need?
Okay, let me do it.
Yeah. Okay, is that done?
Yeah.
Okay, so look, if you think there was an issue with bandwidth, we might want to take that again because it sounded like, sometimes it was getting a bit blurry. Do you want to do it again?
However you prefer. It's
Okay,
fine.
just count to 10. Just count to 10 for me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, I tell you what, let's try it from the top. Okay. How far away is your microphone from your mouth?
Just like near me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can turn on the cam so that you can.
Let's have a look.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's
All
very
right.
strange because like I have like many meetings per day and
Yeah.
haven't faced this issue. Maybe it's connected with River side.
No. Okay, so, don't worry about it. It's fine. All right, let's do it from the first question. But turn the video off. That might help a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, Robert, a very warm welcome to the podcast. Could you just introduce yourself and explain a little bit about what your company does?
Hi, Felix. Thanks for having me. Sure. Sorry, Felix. Did I tell you about thanks for having me, or am I repeating it, or?
Yeah. Let's go from the top, right? So this is the first question, okay?
So before this question, did I tell you about thanks, etc., or?
Yeah. This is you haven't told me anything yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start again.
We're starting from
Thanks.
the very, very beginning.
Okay.
So, Robert, a huge welcome to the podcast. Could you just explain yourself and explain a little bit about what your company does?
Sure. Hi, Felix. Thanks for having me. I'm Robert, CEO and co-founder of Docus. As for my expertise, unfortunately, I'm not a save lives doctor, but a PhD kind of doctor. So I hold a PhD in economics. And actually, Docus is my second startup that I'm building with my co-founder, Georg. So our first startup was more standard story about two PhD students who started the startup from their dorm room. Like it was online food delivery platform, and without any investments, we scaled it to a few millions in revenue, had an exit, and now building Docus. So at Docus, we are building an AI health assistant for individuals and an AI copilot for doctors, connecting with two sites for pre-visit assessment, during visit support, and post-visit monitoring, eventually making this communication more effective. That's what they do.
Okay, now look, before we get into the details of your kind of systems, now I know that you have a base in San Francisco, but you also have a base in Armenia. So now everyone knows that San Francisco is where Silicon Valley is, but Armenia, is that an up and coming hub for AI systems?
That's a great question. So I'm Armenian originally, and it's a small country in Caucasus, and I kind of split my time between Armenia and the US because my development team is located in Armenia. So yeah, there are like a lot of very successful startups in Armenia, where even unicorns, Series B, C companies. So I think yes, it's kind of hub in this region.
That's good to hear. Okay, great. All right, well, let's dive into the detail of AI doctors. Could you summarize for us what the core problem is here that you're trying to address?
Cool. So today's patient care cycle is inefficient for both doctors and patients. So doctors spend half of their time on tasks unrelated to patient care, and they also struggle to keep up with rapidly expanding medical knowledge. Medical knowledge doubles every 73 days. Like it's crazy. But meanwhile, patients seek more dedicated and high quality time with their doctors, but they can't. And we all know why, right? So there's a shortage of doctors, nurses, and the average doctor waiting time in the US is like 26 days. So here comes Docus. It equips doctors with an AI copilot during the whole cycle of patient care. So it starts with preventive assessment of patient symptoms, where AI asks very deep questions about the symptoms, and based on the answers, it shares a report with the doctor before the appointment. And then comes during visit support, where AI Copilot suggests clinical decision support to doctors. It analyzes all the medical history of the patient and suggests possible differential diagnosis because, like, the possibility that the doctor may miss something is not zero, unfortunately. We are all human and unfortunately make mistakes. But once the diagnosis is determined by a doctor, the AI can also draft a clinical plan for the patient case. And for sure, everything should be confirmed by a doctor. But then comes the post-visit monitoring part when the AI reminds you to take your pills, asks about side effects, reminds you about the follow-up test, and if there's anything important, it shares with your doctor. So these features will allow doctors to focus more on patient care and make them maybe 20-30% more effective, which is huge. So this is the solution for doctors, AI Copilot. When it comes to patient side, we have like AI Doctor, which offers AI health system personalized to their medical history. So anytime if you have any health related question, AI will consider your whole medical profile, starting from medical history, biomarkers, trends, current condition, and answer your question. So you can store all your lab tests, and the AI will analyze your biomarker trends, explain what they mean for you, for your body, and the AI will send you preventive care recommendations eventually based on all this data. And if there's something requires a doctor's attention, it will connect you with a doctor. So it's super important that human doctors are in the loop.
Okay, so let's think about the biggest kinds of questions that are involved here. I mean, I think the first is, are you trying to replace, in some sense, doctors?
Yeah, I get this question
I'm sure you do.
very,
It's probably the most common one, right?
yeah, very, very often. Yeah, no. So the short answer is no. We are empowering patients with the medical information, and we are helping them to get more, to maximize their preventive care so that they can manage their health. When it comes to doctors, we just equip them with AI Copilot, and eventually will save some time for doctors. So I don't know, like, will this change in 5, 10 years? I don't know, maybe. But as for now, we are not replacing doctors.
Now, there are many parts of the world, of course, where health systems are not just stretched, there may be simply no doctors available. Is part of your plan for your company to serve those kinds of parts of the world?
Yes. So I think AI can really improve human health through its personalized preventive care solutions. So I think it's for the first time ever that can AI really help both doctors and patients. And when it comes to diagnosis part, I think there is not a huge issue that we have, right? So we only in the US, approximately 60% of the US adults have at least one chronic disease, and 40% have two or more diseases. And it's about 150 million people living with at least one chronic disease only in the US. And you know what? And just 8% of them have nurses who call them to ask if they took their pills or about side effects. So what about the rest 90%? What's the number globally? I don't know the exact statistics, but it's definitely billions of people. So the main issue is not about the right diagnosis, because there's still an issue, but not a huge. The main issue, I think, is that people don't follow the directions after they are diagnosed, right? So do we follow up with patients after prescription to ask if there are any side effects, or should we change the dose or maybe medication? Or do we call them after 6 months for a follow-up test result or screening? No. But I think that with personalized AI, we can do it almost for free. I don't know, maybe a few dollars per month.
Okay, so you have described two separate systems which work in tandem. One is for patients and one is for doctors. Now, could you just take us through, if I bought the Docus system tomorrow, what might my experience of it be? How would that look?
I guess you're asking as a patient, right? Or as an
Yes,
individual?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a patient, yeah.
Yeah. So first, we're going to personalize your AI doctor, right? So what we do, we start asking questions about your medical history, current condition, family history, many, many questions to personalize your AI doctor. And then you can store all your lab tests there, and we will analyze all your biomarkers. And eventually, AI will remember all your medical history. And anytime, whenever you have any question, like before having a question, it will also generate a personalized checkup plan for you about what kind of test to pass, when to pass, and then once you pass this test, you can upload, and AI will analyze them, providing like interpretation. And then whenever you have any question, you can ask to AI, and AI will consider your whole medical history and current condition, and will answer your question. And anytime if there's like a situation which requires human doctor's attention, it can also connect you with. So we have few hundred doctors registered on our platform from the US and Europe. It can also connect you with a doctor for getting a human advice. But you can also share your like health report with your treating doctor, who is not a part of Docus. So that's how it works at the moment.
I see. So let's dive into some examples if we could. Could you give an example of where this kind of system has gone really well, maybe even saved somebody's life? And could you give an example of where there have been problems?
Hmm. Uh, okay, let's start with the problem part because it's easier. Uh, I think so. It's very important not to rely on AI when it comes to medical diagnosis, right? So you shouldn't trust AI, and we emphasize this everywhere. But before taking any action, you should talk to your doctor. So one problem that I see is that maybe some people can avoid consultation with their doctor and can rely on AI diagnosis, which is not right, right? Uh, when it comes to positive parts, so well, actually our platform is fully HIPAA compliant, but we sometimes anonymously analyze the data, right? And there was a situation recently where there was a case when the patient was asking about some problem that he was experiencing, and then the patient provided the prescription of a doctor, and suddenly AI told him that the medication that is in the prescription, uh, the dosage is like very huge for his
Hmm.
specific condition, and there's also another medication that he uh, should not take at all. uh, and we don't know what happened afterwards, but we see that like after a few days, this patient upgraded the plan from free to pro. And I
Hmm.
guess that the AI was right. So the patient maybe shared this information with his treating doctor, and they made some changes in dosage. And that's the a positive part, right? Because
Yeah.
like AI can handle all of these things, find out any abnormalities, uh, send notifications, alarms, so that you can pay attention on these kind of things.
Okay. Now, what kind of competition do you face? I mean, as mega corporations like Google and Microsoft are getting involved in all various different areas of medical AI. Are you worried about competition from those kind of corners?
A little bit, but not fully.
Hmm.
Why? Because I think we are a very vertical solution when it comes to healthcare, and the good thing is that we don't just provide AI assistant. We also provide the second part, like which is the doctor's solution, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Where we can connect with the doctor. Like afterwards, we're going to connect with laboratories, with pharmacies, etc. So it's gonna be like all in one, let's say, digital clinic in your pocket. So from this perspective, I don't think that Apple Health or Google Health are going to have partnerships with providers, with I don't know, laboratories, pharmacies, etc. And there's also another thing that I can emphasize is that like consider so there's Apple Music and there's Spotify, right? So and the Spotify managed to build like great experience for end users and competes with Apple Music, and I think it wins.
Now, one of the things people talk about in terms of limitations of this kind of area in general is legal issues and in particular liability. Can you describe how those liability issues are relevant for your company?
That's a great question. There are a couple of things that I should mention here. So one thing is that there are no regulations from FDA for, let's say, ChatGPT-like models,
Yeah.
and all these companies, including OpenAI, Docus, and the others, claim that the information provided should not be considered as a medical advice. Um, this is one thing. And when it comes to limitations, I think currently the AI system relies heavily on the, let's say, quality and quantity of available patient data. And without comprehensive data, the AI's effectiveness can be very limited. So, uh, additionally, while the AI can assist with suggestions and reminders, it cannot replace the nuanced, let's say, judgment of a human doctor. That's also another part of the limitation.
Now, of course, medicine is not just one thing, it's a collection of a vast array of different areas of specialization. So, which areas in medicine do you think are more prone to what we could call AI takeover, and
Oh,
which you think are less prone to that?
yeah, that's a great question. I think one part could be the time-consuming work of doctors and nurses that they do, which is like, as I mentioned before, like 50% of doctors' time goes on tasks unrelated to patient care, and this part can be handled by AI. So it's one thing. The second thing I think is like uh, the work of nurses when it comes to follow-ups, etc. Because again, like only just 8% of chronic disease patients that have chronic diseases have their like let's say own chronic disease nurses that call and follow up with like about the medication, test results, etc. And there's also another part that AI can handle. But I know like it grows very fast. I don't know like after 5 years, what kind of changes we can face, what kind of regulations changes we can see. But I really don't think that in the nearest future, doctors could be replaced by AI.
Well, why don't we think about what in AI terms is very much the long term, and let's think about the next maybe 10 to 20 years. Do you have any idea? And I know this is an impossible question because the whole field is evolving so rapidly, but do you have any ideas about what medicine might look like within the context of AI in 10 to 20 years?
Yeah, I think that everyone would have their AI doctor that will know everything about their medical history. It will help with any health-related questions. Like you will have just one assistant that will help you with all your health-related questions. I don't know, prescription, pharmacy, laboratory, uh, other things, health management, etc., etc. And AI will also handle many, many cases, like even when it comes to diagnosing very not much complicated cases. And with this, we could make these doctors like much more efficient. I don't know, maybe they can serve like twice or 10 times better, 10 times more patients per unit of time, right? And the problem that we are facing right now when it comes to shortage of doctors, nurses, maybe this problem can be solved with AI
Yeah.
technology.
Okay, well, let's talk about where you are as a company. So, could you tell us about how your customer base has grown and how what plans you have for the future? Where are you at right now?
So we started like a year ago, and just in a year we reached 100,000 users organically. Uh, so like from all over the world. So our main focus is on the US market, but we have users from more than 180 countries. So we're going to keep building the product because there are like unlimited features and services that we can add to make the AI more smarter, more to improve the user experience. So we started with building the best experience for end users, patients, but now we are going to after like doctor solution part, and there are a bunch of features that we are going to build for doctors and eventually connect these two parts more effectively.
So, could you? So, you said before that you, as a company, or your product is not subject to regulation. Is that absolutely true? Do you have any interactions with regulators at all?
So we had some meetings with consultants from the field, and we also are very uh, we also check all the FDA updates, etc. when it comes to ChatGPT like models. And as we're now were no regulations, but I do think that one day these regulations will come up. But since we are not developing large language model in healthcare, and there are already companies that are focused on this problem, like Hippocratic and the other companies. Uh, and we think that one day when these regulations will come up from the FDA, and there would be an LLM, medical LLM that will comply with the regulations, maybe we'll change the core of the model with Vetman and will for sure inherit the compliances from them.
So you mentioned LLMs. So could you just describe the AI component of your two systems?
Yeah, sure. Uh, so the core of the product is the latest version of GPT-4, and we fine-tune it for our specific use cases. For example, standardizing the biomarkers. There are thousands of them. But on the top of it, we also use RAG, vector DBs for cross-feature long-term memory. But the real value lies, I think, in the patient data, because having more data provides more context to the AI about each patient.
Now, I can imagine that if a patient has various blood results, but they're not really familiar with what those results are, they might miss out a decimal point, and suddenly you've got blood results which look crazy. So, do you have any kind of checks on those kind of possible problems?
You know how it works at the moment. So you can upload your blood test, and our system will analyze all your biomarkers with double check, and it's super accurate. And even if there are like some units, because every biomarker has like various units, right? You can also convert from one unit to another one, and the AI will show you the abnormalities and also interpret what these biomarkers mean for your body and brain. And it will also send you a reminder notification to like after X months to upload a new one. And the good thing is that here you can see the tendency, right? The trend of your biomarker results, which will help you to better manage your health.
Okay, good. Now, are you conducting some form of surveillance on how it's going with your customers? How would you do that, or how do you do that?
Sure, we do, and we do it anonymously. Basically, for each feature on our platform, you can there's a way where you can put your review, you can report an issue, and we like put our finger on a pulse to understand what kind of problems we have. But the good thing is that we have like thousands of users who love the product and who use the product on a daily basis. So for sure, there are many problems that we are experiencing as all the other startups, but we are very fast. We are solving these problems, and we are making it much better every day.
Great. And what kind of improvements are you currently involved in implementing?
Hmm. Uh, Let me think about it. So I think so. We just released our version 2 of Docus for individuals, and it's I think 10 times better version of the previous one, uh, where all these features that I was talking about are
Yeah.
are there, like personalized checkup plan, biomarkers, trends. Well, I think the only in the market long-term memory in this field. Uh, but now we are more focused not I would not say not more focused, but since we already have the solution for individuals, we're now building the doctor solution, making it better, and working on many other features like pre-visit assessment, AI scriber for recording the conversation and converting into the notes, post-visit monitoring. So bunch of the features that are coming soon.
Fantastic. Okay, Robert, it's been fascinating discussion, but I have to ask you before you go. Could you tell us about a medical AI system that is your favourite but got nothing to do with AI doctors?
That's a good question. I'm, I think I'm truly amazed by Neuralink. Uh, Developing brain implants that use AI to read and interpret brain signals. I think it's like amazing. Like, and when I imagine that you can control any devices just by thinking, like that's incredible. Yeah, I think the answer would be Neuralink.
Neuralink. Okay, great. Robert, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Best of luck with Docus. I think it's a super interesting company, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much, Felix.
Thanks for listening. Ping me on LinkedIn if you have any ideas on new subjects or guests.